Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence. I'm your host, James Windsor-Smith. As you see before you, I've been drawing a link from Legend of Zelda for the last half hour, and then I didn't decide. YouTube decided it was time to stop drawing because it was time for an error recording. So you get to see a bit of where I'm at this point. Before we go any further, I want to say a shout out to Peter Hensel. Please check out his website. It's actually on eBay, and I'll put a link below in the description of this video. During the COVID-19 crisis, his store was forced to shut down. So he still has all the things that he would have if he had an open store, but he's selling online instead of paying that monthly rent, which was pretty awful. So if there's something you've been considering buying, why don't you go by his site and just see if he has what you want and support a fellow outstanding achiever. I actually did that with a Jack Kirby collector issue recently today. But anyways, speaking of generous, check this out. The other day in the mail, I got these Derwent Inktense pencils. There's 72 here, as you can probably see over here. So I knew that my friend Josiah was going to be getting some pencils soon, due to learning to draw and really dedicating himself to the cause. Really, he'd actually be an outstanding achiever if he had a Facebook. As far as I'm concerned, he might as well be a member. But anyways, this came to my door. And I remembered a couple of years ago we were watching some movies at his house, and I had signed into to his laptop, like on Amazon Prime. So I messaged him, "Hey man, I think I have your pencils here. Why don't you come by and get them? I didn't order these." And he's like, "Oh no, these are actually for you." He actually ordered me these pencils to help me out, and I really appreciate that. So thank you, Josiah. And also, he got me some Derwent brushes. They're actually out of the package already. There's three of these, but they work really well. I actually used it on this piece here, and so far so good. These are actually working better. I usually use like a quash, uh, the a quash water brushes, but these ones actually seem to be working a bit better. So there we go. So as a thank you, actually, I'm actually drawing this piece for Josiah. Here's the whole thing. Figure I make a fat Link or a fat Zelda, as I would say as a moron. I like to tease that I don't know that it's Link. But anyways, why don't we get back to drawing this? I'm actually doing some leg hair right now. I have to move an iPod or an iPad, and I'll angle it so you can actually see the legs, and I'll go back to it. I think the legs are a little funnier when you add a lot of pubes, and you want to basically make his legs look like John Byrne Wolverine, hairy as fuck. If you guys have been watching my friend Richard's channel, he had on his colorist this week, and then he was saying that he would, as good as John Byrne is, he would rather look at someone like Joe Mad any day, and that's really hard to argue with. If you really look at a guy like Byrne, it really feels dated, whereas somebody like Joe Mad like is really modern and approaches things from a lot more interesting place, in my opinion. That I still love John Byrne, but at the same time, I definitely see his point. Well, I'm sure that's a controversial opinion, so if you disagree, why don't you leave something in the comments about that? Yeah, I'm only kind of like happy with these colors the way they turned out. So I'm gonna go over this again when the ink from the pen is a little bit drier. Let me just keep going with the hair first. Okay, I'm gonna cap that. Okay, back to the coloring. This is tan. This is an appropriate color. So let's go over the legs a bit. You want to create a little bit of shadow under there. So you add a bit of color. When you add the water brush, it should turn out pretty good. All right, these colors feel too safe. So let's live a little and we'll add some fuchsia. We just have to find fuchsia. Oh, we might have to settle for a carmine pink. Let's see. Oh no, here it is. Sorry, I have my pencils out. I'm actually in the middle of sharpening them. Okay, there we go. It already seems to look a little better with a bit of contrast there. I forgot you can't really see that well. Give him some cocksucker knees. All bruisey, bruisey. Some detail on the knuckles there. Making like Massey's star and fading into you. Give him a pinkish nose. He already looks a bit like Donald Trump. That was not intentional. I don't get political, as opinionated as I am. I think you can guess where I lie on the spectrum. It's just boring online to see people report about politics all the time. A little bit I get, but when it's all you have to say, it's like, come on, man. That's not living, that's pretending to live. Anyways, let's go to that pink. It's a little more subtle over the green, but I can see it. How about you? Guys can see that? Is that a little different, or is it about the same? Well, I'm not sure, but back to the brush. Squeeze this a bit. I haven't used this brush yet. Okay. Like that. Color this in. I forgot to color it earlier, but just dab it a bit. Oh, now that pink is really coming through. It looks like stains almost. So we'll just do some dabs for the stain effect. All right, I'm pretty happy with this, the way it's turning out. But I think it's still lacking something in the background. So let's add a color for the background. something that's not already there as prominently. Maybe some red. All right, scarlet pink. Looks like he's gushing blood right now. He has high blood pressure. All right, and this is carmine pink. Oh, I dropped my pencil. Okay. Well, that's as low as the camera goes, so I'll have to adjust. All right, I think that's enough. So back to the brush again. Let's see how that comes out. I think pretty well. Adding a bit more water again by squeezing the brush. All right, and I just had an idea. Let me see what I have here. Shiraz. Okay, here's blue actually. We're actually going to highlight with some veins on the blue, on the arms rather, and the legs and the face. There we go. Stands out quite a bit with the red there, or the magenta or whatever it was. Fuchsia. That's right. I used fuchsia. Let's make them as gross as humanly possible. It seems that we're heading that way. All right, not gross enough. So we go back to chili red. We add some red veins. All right, this is grosser, but we're not quite where we want to be. Let's add a little red here first. Oh, you'll notice the camera is not shaking as much because I actually got um, I got tired of it shaking so much. It was attached to my desk. I thought that was a good idea at the time, but I actually attached it to my windowsill instead. So the only times it's shaking anymore is when I bump the camera, which is still kind of often, but it's a lot better than it was. Okay, let's clean that bad boy off. And I think we're going to go over the veins with water and see what happens. I don't know if anything is really reacting very much. I'm not exactly watching the screen, but it seems to me that it is reacting a bit. It's getting a little bruisey around the bumps here in the veins. Okay, I want to add one more thing. I'm going to add some more ink to this. So, let me see here. Okay, here's a small brush. Or a small pen, rather. Really contrasts with the thicker lines there. Speaking of thicker lines, why don't I just go with thicker lines? It's never too late to change your mind on a piece. Remember that, folks. Alright, this is point 3. Just make some jagged lines. I'll blacken the mouth with this while I have a somewhat smaller but not tiny brush out. Or pen again, I keep saying brush. Add some circles. They don't mean anything, but they look good. I think it's starting to come together. Alright. I guess it's time to sign this bad boy. To Joda, have a great summer. See you next year. James Windsor-Smith. Alright. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time on Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence. Press like, subscribe, and all that jazz.